Join us on this week's WRRAP podcast, where we'll have a look at the prospects of a Wales win in South Africa. 1 from 8 would be more than happy with. We'll have a little look at anybody that we think will make the Lions tour, and then we'll have another look at some predictions because one of us is in the lead. Thank you very much. Let's get on with the show. Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the WRRAP podcast. Me, Lee G, and joining me as usual is Harley. Good evening, Harley.
Good evening. Last man standing, it seems.
Last man, indeed. So down the bottom there, we can see our Ospreys representative, Zach, from the Ospreys Eyrie. I can say that now. Nick's not here. Evening, Zach.
It's the Erie, actually. Please get it right. My lawyers will be in contact.
So Nick is actually down in South Africa. I've been told he's taken a wide range of budgie smugglers and a lot of suntan lotion. So Nick's down in South Africa, hoping to watch the games. So Zach's going to sit in for us this week and talk Osprey stuff. So you'll see that there's just the three of us here tonight. So Jamie's not feeling very well, so he's going to sit tonight out, which is quite convenient because he's going to miss talking about the Dragons in South Africa. So before it's going to be quite a quick one tonight, gents. So before we start, I thought we'd kind of like, open the floor up. Does anybody want to share anything? Is there anybody that's got any news, any good things that they might want to share with the group? Harley, anything you want to share with the group, my friend?
Well, now you've queued me up, I suppose I do have to say. So, so my wife and I are expecting again. So we've got, so last week or week before even, we had the scan, worked up the gender. So we're looking forward to welcoming a little baby boy in September. My wife, I said a bit nervy about this one because the first one's going so well. We don't want to ruin things with the second, but that's how it goes. The more of the worry is the due date is exactly a week after my sister-in-law's wedding. Ooh. And my wife is maid of honor.
Oh, excellent. Oh, that
so
could be fun.
This is causing tension.
Yeah, but also start of the season. Got to balance those two up. So you've got to check the games when they come out, check the fixture list when they come out, because that could be awkward. Having to miss the birth of your second child.
Not just the Cardiff fixtures for me. It's the Old Pens fixtures as well, because I said I'd stick around for another season with them whilst I'm still up in Cardiff.
The real question is, what are you going to base a project on? Is it going to be Project Thomas Young or Project Harry Millard? I need to decide. Is it going to become a flashy 7 or a flashy winger that doesn't really do anything?
I think you find Harry Millard does anything more than any Ospreys back three player.
There we go. We're off already.
Well, I said I'm hoping. Well, I said the way Fleur, my daughter's going at the moment, she's turning into the potential for a world class pop. She's got the perfect long body, short legs, only nose forward. I would be in a back row myself. I would love having a shithouse 6 as a son.
Yeah, I'm a back row, and I produced a centre stroke winger. So and a second one my first one can't stand rugby. The second one is a winger, and the third one, she's a girl and doesn't see the point in getting muddy. So yeah. Good luck with that, Harley. Good luck with that, mate. So, a little bit of other news. By the way, I know lots of our listeners will comment under the video and send you lots of congratulations, mate. So save it on social media, stick it under the video on YouTube. There's a love. Right. Other news. So we've been looking for a Scarlets presenter to replace me for the last month, I think now, something like that, next season. And still are. So if anybody would like to come and take my place next year, you don't have to be the main presenter. You just come in, do Scarlet stuff. Can you talk Scarlet's rubbish for an hour or so every week? Come on, people. I
need to get an Ospreys fan if you want to say Scarlet's are rubbish.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest. The the better the Scarlets play, the less Ospreys interference we have on social media. So it's a definite kind of a thing that I'm quite enjoying. So I've got another plug to make. Okay, so I've got a couple of plugs actually. So we're looking at what we're going to do next season and how we're going to mess around with stuff next season. So we're looking at bringing on a couple of extra pods if I can get presenters for them. So if anyone that likes American rugby, so MLR, if you like Japan, what I think it's called Japan One, the league there.
Top one.
What's it called?
I think it's the top one or
Top
League One
one.
now. They've changed the name a couple of times recently.
Yeah,
Basically, if it's been
Japan
shown on
Rugby.
Premier Sports, he wants a podcast for it.
Thank you, Harley. Yep. But also, French rugby. Yeah, let's do a French rugby one while we're there. Super rugby, let's throw that in. Let's do one of those. We've got all sorts of stuff. But the one that I wanted to kind of look at was to do like a weekly rugby one, but not talk about the game so much. Just talk about stupid stuff. I was going to call it funny balls and just kind of do like funny stuff that happens. So it's not like, can I talk about rugby and can I talk about statistics and that? Can I make up funny stuff about rugby? If anybody fancies themselves as a bit of a comedian and they like rugby, then get in touch with me on that one because it's just a thought at the minute. It's just a thought. But as Harley will know, and Hugh dreads getting messages from me that goes, I've had a thought, mate. And now Hugh just leaves me unread for a couple of hours while he prepares mentally for Lee's had a thought. So yes, on a completely different side project. Next, I've already started this, but this is going a little bit mental and a little bit crazy. So I've started a thing called a Towncast, which is a town-based podcast, which is nothing to do with rugby. But if anybody kind of likes their town and wants to promote their town and wants to do stuff with their town, get in touch with me. Drop us an email, and I will tell you all about what Towncast is because I'm gonna make that mental. Which I'd also I've done 4 episodes of my local Towncast, and my local radio station has been in touch and said, "Do you want to do this on the radio?" So that kind of went a little bit mental as well. So yeah, I take your I've got a second baby. I got a second baby on the way, and I trump your second baby with I might get a 2-hour slot at midnight once a month on the radio. Thank you very much.
I think it's important for listeners and watchers who are on YouTube to point out. Lee asked me beforehand to announce the baby news. I wasn't actually going to bring it up on the pod, so he's done this specifically to shit on me.
No,
like like any self-respecting Turk.
I wanted to celebrate your news with you, mate, because I know you've been holding it to yourself for a while until you had the second scan. So I'm genuinely chuffed for you on it, and I can see because you've got the little cheeky smile. See, I know, I can tell. Right. Let's do a little bit of news. Harley, you're going to do news for us this week, so all yours, my friend.
Yes, so the missing man of the Wales squad has re-signed for the Scarlets, Kemsy Mathias, and also some old Australian bloke with a beard. You may have heard of him, Jake Ball. So a stalwart of the Welsh pack, particularly during the end of Scotland's second run, the typical enforcer lock. Proof yet again that Scarlets don't know how to develop their own second rows. But I mean, that's just good business, isn't it? I mean, get one knocking Kemsy down was a Wales international and someone who I think has improved an awful lot in the weaker areas of his game this season. And again, just with the loss of Alex Craig, having someone who's just going to hit things and enjoy hitting things, that's exactly what you want from your second row, isn't it? Especially when you've got someone like Lousy doing all the really fancy stuff.
Yeah, but is he going to hit things or is he going to hit things?
Yes.
Both. Yeah. And he'll get a massive cheer every time. So we've been saying on Scarlet's saucepans for a while that we've missed someone like Jake Ball. Just with his no messing, a bit of an enforcer, a bit of a bit of old school brute. We had lots of lovely fancy handlers and all of this kind of stuff. We just needed somebody to go bang, have some of that, son. And the beard that's feared is back. I can't wait. I
I
genuinely
think you
can't.
do have to have some reservations with it though, because I don't know how. I don't think he's going to be able to put in the same sort of shift Alex Craig's been doing. Said he's 33. He was benched for his second division Japanese team. He supposedly retired again.
Mm.
He's had two retirements already. He's getting to Shane Williams levels now. So I
Back in
think
my-
noting that there's no news from the Ospreys, but apparently Zach, you have applied later, so we'll go. So just quickly, Dragons have signed a defence coach, which they clearly need on a run of 9 consecutive games, conceding 30 points or more. In Dale McLeod, who's a New Zealander, he's worked with Philo before at Southland, Northland. He also helped out with Tonga in a couple of stints, including the 2023 World Cup. I'm going to leave the boys and the Dragons later to talk about that news when they get round to it.
Yeah.
Purely because I just want to hear what wonderful mixed metaphor Gav's going to come up with, because they are always worth to listen. And then Cardiff, we had Dan Day on Friday, so we re-signed Danny Southworth and Dan Thomas, two additions this season who have certainly in the bread. Dan Thomas taking the starting jerseys from Thomas Young for quite a stretch this season. Very aggressive tackler. One of the top in the league for turnovers still, despite being injured this last half. And then Danny Southworth just being solid as a rock, especially when we were expecting Ed Byrne to be our number 2 loose head and got injured fairly early on. But Danny Southworth's been doing a fantastic job. And that wraps up on these. I said, Zach, do you know about this Ospreys thing?
Helen's
Can't remember if
thing.
Nick prepped you on this one.
He hasn't. There's other bits going on with St Helens. There's a drop-in session at St Helens tomorrow to go through redevelopment, where we're recording this on Monday night. It's going on Tuesday the 6th between 3 p.m. and 8 p.m, which will be the Ospreys giving down a rundown of what's going on at St Helens for anyone interested. If you're in the area and have nothing else to do on your Tuesday afternoon, evening, pop in. I'm sure it will be very informative.
To be fair, in the Swansea area, it's that old get drunk, isn't it?
You could be working for the Ospreys media team there, mate. I've gone and said it again. It's the
I love how I'm actually trying to wind up Ospreys fans, and you're still doing better.
No, it's genuinely Nick's quite excited by this. His video app today has gone a little bit crazy on it, but as far as I understand it, it's like a drop-in session and they'll have everything there, all the questions, all the comments. You'll also be able to buy. I think they said it was going to be discounted season tickets for next season, but I think that's just the standard early bird ticket. But they're pushing tickets for St Helens, and getting a very good take up. So yeah, it's well worth going. If you're in the area tomorrow, or if you care about the Ospreys, you can nip down to St Helens tomorrow, and you will be made very welcome by the media team that don't like me. Okay, let's move on then. So it's going to be quite a quick one tonight. So we've got a bit of space in the middle there. So we're going to have a quick chat about the Lions, because the Lions squad, so I think it's the Lions training squad, is going to be announced on Thursday, and then they usually have a bigger training squad and then cut about a third of it for the final squad. So it must be the training squad on Thursday that they're announcing. Either way, let's have a little look at who we think is going to end up on the plane this summer. So, Zach, give me a couple of strange ones. Give me the obvious ones, and then give me the strange ones that you think might just actually make it.
It's probably best to do it from a Welsh perspective, as it's based on our knowledge. But I think the obvious ones, which I think aren't necessarily lock-ins, but are most likely, would be Jacques Morgan, Dewey Lake, and then maybe an argument for Thomas Williams. But a lot of those are sort of riding on sort of second and fourth choices. There's lots of depth in back row and hooker. And then at 9, there's probably 4 you can pick from, Thomas being one of those 4. Any more than that, it's getting into the unlikely territory for Welsh names. You've got the options of Talupe Falatau, who's been, quite frankly, awesome the last sort of 4 months of this year and is really putting his hand up. Maybe an Aaron Wainwright at that. I think, annoyingly, the most popular one of sort of a Welsh bolter is Blair Murray, which is just, it doesn't feel right in any capacity. Other than that, there's nothing really secure. There's plenty of bolter chat, but nothing quite as fun. I still think that Justin Tipuric would be the second best 7 in the squad if you went. But, you know, who needs Justin Tipuric when you have an English guy called Henry Pollock who's like half a player is?
So who would be your number 1 bolter then? Who would be, if it was going to come somebody completely out of the blue, who would be your number 1 bolter?
Well, if it came completely out of the blue, I wouldn't guess him. But it's going to be, I could see maybe an Elliot D if Dan Sheehan or Ronan Kelleher get injured as a reliable, boring system hooker that comes in and plays 1 midweek game if he's in the right area. If he's in Japan anyway and just needs to get a flight over to Australia after getting called up to play a midweek game, I can see it happening.
I don't
Shane
think
Williams
Elliot
do
D, but
Yeah, exactly.
I was going to say, actually, when you point out that Elliot D is a good system hooker, actually that would, in theory, would put him in a better shape than Derry Lake. If you think about the types of hooker Kelleher and Sheehan are, Elliot D is more in that mold than Derry Lake. Derry Lake is actually quite, Sheehan is pretty much a prototype edge forward hooker, dynamic. He loves being in that Warwick Shells, almost like a winger role, and with that pace. Elliot D again is quite comfortable there, whereas Derry Lake is your more traditional taking up the jumper, smash through the middle. He's usually in one of those 2 central forward pods.
Yeah.
We're in a bit of a troubled spot with purely because of how poorly the Welsh national side has been playing. Like when your team's playing badly, you don't expect that. One name I think be interesting is Dav Jenkins, purely based on he is one of the top work rate locks out there. And that's the sort of thing Andy Farrell likes in his players, are players who consistently go, and they'll just keep, they can churn out 80 minutes of top quality hard work. I think Falatau's chances have been,
even after Exeter's thing last week.
Lupe Falatau was a nailed on starter for Wales whilst playing for the Dragons. Like, sometimes the player is so good they belay the team they're playing for. I think I said with Falatau, his chances I think have increased with Caelan Doris being injured.
Yeah,
and there's a chance he might now miss the tour. And having a nice experience, having an experienced number 8 who is just classy and will get you out of shit is invaluable. Especially because Ireland's sort of are losing their sheen a little bit, and we have to accept that it's going to be this Ireland Leinster system that Farrell's going to play. So it's going to be a predominantly Ireland Leinster squad. So when you're looking for players, you're probably looking at players who might either be slightly better than what's there already or who could push ahead. I think Thomas Williams is an interesting one. He potentially could, just as having that spark of magic. Blair Murray, you'd almost see in that Matt Hansen role, where it's almost having him as a playmaker than necessarily for his winger stuff. Other than that, it's from my perspective, I wouldn't see. I mean, Josh Adams has been there and done it before, but I don't think his form is as good as I think he's been for Cardiff. I don't think it's good enough to push out you're looking at pushing out like a Darcy Graham or probably not a man who favours both, but Tommy Freeman's sort of winning a shout, particularly with his 13 cover. You look at those, Doohan's going to go, James Lowe's going to go, unless they pick up a massive injury now. So, and it's going to be quite hard because I think a lot of the places, when you try and look at who's most like the next Leinster or Irish player, I don't think there are that many Welsh players who jump in and fit that mould. I think Jack Morgan might go just purely because he is just world class and he will fit into whatever role you give him.
I do have a feeling that if you put Talupe Falatau into a Ireland-esque Leinster system, he just becomes completely unplayable though.
Yeah.
Give him half a shoulder to ride and get an offload through. We're getting line breaks every time he carries.
But see, Faletau is because he's getting on that little bit. The Lions tour tends to be a bit more intense. You know, when we've seen the training videos for the last 4, 5, 6 tours or whatever, they're pretty. They're a step up and then they're a step up again, and I don't know if Faletau would be up for that. Do you know what I mean? It's just the training before you get there is batshit crazy. And is Faletau going to be in a place where he goes, yeah, I want to put my body through that again, or is he going to go, do you know what? I've had a good crack at it, and if I look after myself, I've got another season with Cardiff in one piece. I'd, you've
we
got
don't
to
know. We don't know what his
Yeah,
plan is
we
after
don't
this
know.
season. This could be Lions tour or bust.
Yeah, that could be a sign off, couldn't it? Yeah. So Jamie has gone for definite picks of Morgan Lake and Thomas Williams, with bolters of Faletau, Murray, Jenkins, and Nicky Smith that none of us have mentioned. I don't know if Nicky Smith has done enough in a Welsh jersey to kind of put himself in that place.
He has probably been the best loose head in the Prem this season, though, in terms of consistency and just going forward, getting over the game line and getting a scrum going forward.
But then at international level, you had a decent half, and the rest of it was pretty much nondescript. So it would be interesting to see if Farrell goes, how highly Farrell rates club rugby in terms of, does it bring players into the system or out of the system, which kind of puts an interesting spin on both all 4 Welsh sides doing 2 weeks in South Africa now. That's a massive opportunity for a lot of players to go, okay, I can play with the big boys on foreign turf. Because on my list, I've got Dab Jenkins, Thomas Williams, Blair Murray, and then my complete outsider is Joe Roberts, because he has carved it up on the wing and at 13. And I just think he gives a different edge to a lot of the other ones. It's whether he wants to go for a big, hefty, bulky 13, or if he wants to go for someone with a bit of creativity. And like I say, Joe Roberts can play 13, can play 14, can play 15. So that might kind of throw it in there. But it really does depend on whether he stays fit in South Africa. The
I
interesting
don't even think
one.
that's a thing, because you're looking at ring rows. You can have Henshaw as someone who can cover both. You can have Hugh Jones. You're already chopped there. I mean,
Yeah.
you're not even looking at it. You don't even necessarily need to look at an English centre there. I think you're already going to have 3 Irish centres.
I was going to say the next person off of rank is probably Jamie Osborne, who does play literally every position in the back
He
5.
was basically 12, well, 11 to 15.
Fun away with a pair of you. No, we want Joe Robertson. So he's my bolter. The interesting bit I was going to say is actually Thomas Williams. Okay, because I need to check this, but it was a stat that came up on the last Lions tour. No, it wasn't. There was a Lions tour a while ago where there was almost no Welsh scrum half going, and somebody got injured on the last day of the season, and then I think Gareth Davis had to call up or something like that. If Thomas Williams doesn't go, this will be the first Lions tour where no Welsh scrum half has gone. And I think that's right. I need it checked. And I've asked a couple of people to check it. And they all go, I haven't got the time, Lee. I can't be bothered. So it's one of those weird ones where somebody has said it. It must have been 2 tours ago, something like that, 3 tours ago, a Gatland tour. We almost went without a Welsh scrum half. And then we did. And then we've had a Welsh scrum half on every tour. And it could be the one, this might be the tour where there's no Welsh scrum half if Thomas Williams doesn't go. So, yeah, it'd be interesting to see how that one goes. Right, okay. I'm going to go off camera and cough my arse up for a second, boys, and let you guys carry on. So let's let's move to South Africa and work out what we're expecting from South Africa. So, Harley, what are you hoping for your boys from South Africa?
I think I made it fairly clear on the last pod. So we think 48 points should be enough to qualify for top eight. Make certain we're in good position now. So looking at picking up 2 losing bonus points, whether that's going to be 2 points against the Stormers, so 4 tries and thing. Some people have mentioned us aiming going for hell for leather against the Bulls to try and get 4 tries. That's something that's only happened twice this season. It's Bulls conceding 4 tries. However, Leinster had only conceded 4 tries once before we came along, and we got 4s. And that's something Cardiff seems to be doing really well, especially at the moment. Our attack seems to have really stepped up the gear, and we're finding ways. I think for me, the Bulls game is damage limitation in sense of let's make sure no one gets damaged. Let's try and let's have all 23 who step onto the field at Loftus come off again, ready to play again. Because I think the game we should be targeting is the Stormers. Their form's increasing as all their players are coming back, but they are still prone to wobblies, and I think that's the best time to pick it up for us. As of now, I don't know who's on the tour yet, so
Well,
I think when we know who's available, that will give us a better idea.
We'll talk about the specifics of the first game in a minute, but Zach, what are you hoping for from South Africa?
What I'm hoping for and what I'm expecting are two, unfortunately, very different things. What I'm hoping for is for us to still be in the playoff hunt, and I think we need 2 wins to get that. Annoyingly, I think those 2 wins are very possible because we're against the Hollywood Bets team known as the Sharks, and then in Joburg against the Lions in the classic YouTuber derby of the Lions against the Ospreys, which we've won at both those places before, and I feel like the Sharks are very prone to a wobbly. And the Lions I feel beatable. You saw Benetton go up there a few weeks ago and do a job on them, a proper job as well. And if at the end of the day, if we can twat Benetton around by 40 points, why can't we beat the Lions in Joburg? It feels possible still, as at the end of the day, it's our playoff and Europe chances on the line. But I'm expecting 1 win, not both. I feel like even if we get a result against the Sharks, we might just run out of steam. We've looked a bit leggy towards the end of the season, especially in the Cardiff and the Lyon games. It looked like we were just running out of gas towards the end. And given how much our squad has been used so far this season and how many players are on stupid amounts of minutes, I'm not confident.
But then playing the Sharks in South Africa it's a completely different kettle of fish, isn't it? It is. Oh yeah. Who were the last team to nil the Sharks at home? I wonder who that was, Harley.
Got their coach sacked.
You did get their coach sacked, yeah.
You got his revenge this year, Mike. So let's not go on about it.
So, yeah, I mean, we play the 2 same teams. We play them opposite yourselves. I think we've got the better option because we play the Lions first, and we can go hell for leather on that first game. I think out of the 2, the Lions is the team that I would prefer to. The Lions would be the team that I'd expect to take points off more than the Sharks. And we play them first, where we've had, another week's break. We've come off a good win against Leinster. I'd be hoping that that's the game we really go hell for leather, and then, the Sharks, whatever happens, and hopefully we've done enough by that point. I think the key bit for us is injuries. We've done really well with injuries this year, apart from Costello, and that did rock us quite a bit. So if we can come back with 90% of the squad intact, a few decent tans topped up, I guarantee there's at least 2 of them coming back with a dodgy tattoo and a strange haircut, because it always just seems to be the way we do things. Yeah, and we just need to I reckon we need 4 points. We're on 43. You're on 46, Harley. And we've got the Stormers in between us. We've got Benetton beneath us, which, yeah, oh, see, no, I'm not going to look at it. I'm not going to look at it because it gets crazy. So, from a Dragons point of view, then, I mean, it's hard to say what the Dragons get out of this, other than, there might be some potential pride somewhere if they can sneak something.
They get a holiday to South Africa at a very nice time of year.
That is true. That is true. Yeah. It's I said work on the tans, all of that kind of stuff. But yeah, is it anything you think that they can genuinely take out of this tour? I mean, they're
I think
already
it's
rebuilding for next year, isn't it?
I think it's giving they're giving a lot of young players, I think, an experience to go play in a very hostile environment and just try and bear them into conditions at the end of the day. If you give someone like Harry Rees-Welton, who was great against the Ospreys a few weeks ago, despite being very fresh at 19, giving him experience at the top level away in South Africa is only going to help him get better playing on those fast flat tracks, especially at altitude. It's just going to help them. It might help them for next season, and that's all that they can hope for at this point.
Harley, can you pick anything out for the Dragons to take from it?
I think it's going back to the cliches, but just having like that old Tory mentality, so I can bond as getting them bonding as a group. But the thing is, I don't know how many of them are being moved on, whatever. They seem to be doing a lot of retention of the youngest crop, plus bringing a few new heads in. So the question is, how much Vilo Tier thinks he can use this sort of 2 week block, or just over a week block, to bed in and bedding what any structures he wants to bring in. Because with the new defense coaching in, the defense system that's probably going to be the main focus in preseason. So now's a chance to sort of say, right, this is what I want us to look at in attack. This is the sort of pattern. We won't worry too much about results, whatever like that. Let's see if we can get signs of our game plan. Let's get a start of a blueprint. It's one of the things that guys on the Dragon Lair always say, they don't know what the Dragons stand for, what their identity is. So let's have 2 weeks where you can focus solely on that, and let's just get it out, have a laugh, have the youth guys treat the whole thing as a mulligan. I mean, the whole season's been a mulligan for them. It can't get worse. One thing I have gone and checked the records is for the URC, they haven't got the lowest total points ever, so they're above Zebra in the first season. So that's that's one record they're not breaking this time round.
So
let's just focus on that. I mean, they're playing the Stormers at first. If they could lightly injure Sasha Fine-Gumuzulu, not seriously, just enough to put him out 6 days later, that'd be perfect.
Holly, out of curiosity, from a purely Cardiff perspective, do you want the Dragons to get walked over or to put up a fight in that game?
I really want them to absolutely knacker the Storms. I want Storms to have to fight tooth and nail for everything in that game. Genuinely, purely from Cardiff's perspective, I know I want and what is likely to happen are two different things. But if they could make a fair few tired bodies, I mean, because both teams are going to be going on a 6-day turnaround, and if we're going to be all battered and bruised, it'd be nice if we're going up against a team that's battered and bruised, because when you're already knackered and then you see you're going up against fresh people, that's just pain. Is the only way I can describe it, for having suffered it myself.
But then you could do with the Stormers not picking up any points. They're only 1 point behind you.
Yeah.
So
absolutely. I'd rather they didn't pick up any points.
Yeah.
Like if the Dragons could beat them, but it's not likely to happen. I think what's more likely to happen is they might be able to put up enough of a fight that some of the Stormers players are a little bit tired and they might need to rest or rotate. Or hopefully they think they're secure already and rest and rotate would also be quite nice. Because also it's about where if we finish in top, not just finish in top 8, but where in top 8 we finish. Because ideally you want to finish, I think, of the 4 teams likely to finish at home, I'd rather just not have to go back to South Africa in like a week or 2 later. So that's really balls and sharks out. And then it's like probably more likely to get a job on. To be honest, I say now I don't think we'd win about the quarterfinal anyway. But I feel like Glasgow, although saying that, given how Leinster have bottled the Champions Cup again, Pause here. Let everyone just pause for a few seconds just so they can laugh at that one. Right, now you've got that system,
Yeah.
yeah. So given they bottled that, maybe we've got a chance, and follow the Scarlets and beating Leinster when it counts.
See, as if we finished eighth, so eighth plays first, don't they? So we'd
Yeah.
travel to Leinster. I think we'd travel there quite confident. Do you know what I mean? We might actually walk into that game being the favourites, which is
I
just.
wouldn't go that far.
No,
I would. I'd be like,
You
yeah.
could consider yourself as favourites, but I don't think anyone else
Yeah.
would.
I
You
wonder
walk
who'd
over.
win in the fight, Joe Roberts or Gary Ringrose.
He'd have him. He'd have him. Okay, so we'll let's before we move on, I'm just going to share my quick story about touring in South Africa. So my boy went on a tour to South Africa a couple of years ago with school, and they're staying down in Shark Country. He played on the Shark pitch, trained with the Sharks, all of this kind of stuff. And he said, "Oh, we're off to a beach." Oh, and like you messaging and all that kind of stuff. What beach you got? I can't remember the name of the beach, but he told us the name of this beach. We go, all right, we'll have a little look at that. This is quite a beachy area. I live in a beachy area. I've got 10 beaches inside 15 minutes. So, right, okay, let's have a look at the beach. Let's see what it is. And you put it into Google, and the first 4 stories are all shark attacks. Oh, and he's like, yeah, we're off for a swim. We're like, holy shit, look how many shark attacks have been on this beach. So thankfully they didn't actually go in the water. They stayed on land and tried to get a tattoo, but they weren't allowed to get a tattoo. So yeah. Right. Before we do previews, let's have a little discussion about if you're liking this, if you're absolutely loving what we do as WRRAP, then please give us a like and a subscribe on YouTube. We've got loads of stuff on there. The women's podcast from last week has gone very well. If that's your sort of thing, then by all means have a look on that. But if you can like and share us, that would be fan-dabby-dozy. It would make our day, make us feel warm inside, and you'll get to see all of the stuff that the WRRAP family do. That'll be nice and lovely, won't it? It's only me that gets excited by it for some reason, but there we go. Right, let's do previews. So first up, Friday night, we have got Sharks and Ospreys. So Zach, let's talk Sharks.
The Sharks have been weird this season in that they've probably got the second best squad in the URC after Leinster on pure name-by-name basis when they're fit, which even then is pushing first. You've got your even possessors. I'm not going to try again. That was awful. Sirkalises, you've got your Pimpis, you've got 2-time World Cup winners for days. But they've been playing pretty awfully the entire season and then just winning games based on their name value alone. I think you can get at them a little bit. Zebra did it to them a month ago and managed to push them to a 1-point game. And if they can concede 34 points to Zebra, I think they can certainly slip up against us. Mind you, I'm still not particularly confident. At the end of the day, you're still away in South Africa against a bunch of World Cup winners. I'm going to be quietly pessimistic about it and move on.
Quietly pessimistic. Between us, don't tell anyone, but I think Plumtree might not see next season. Genuinely, I think regardless of what happens, I know they're fourth in the table, aren't they? But like I say, it's not like they play. You look at that team, like you said, Zach. You look at the squad that they've got, and you go, really, they should be competing week on week with Leinster, and they should be top 2 quite comfortably. They should be playing a lot better than what they are with the resources they've got, would be my thought. And
I just think they're lucky they play all the South African sides home and away. That's the thing, with their South African Shield winners, so that's what's sort of pushed them up the table. Interesting fact for you. So good news for the Ospreys if they're at least looking for 4 try bonus points. they concede on average 3.6 tries a game, which is the same as Zebra, and 0.3 of a try a game less than Benetton. And well, I'm not going to talk about the Dragons. They concede nearly 5 tries a game. So they definitely get at all because they will leak tries. The problem is they also score about as many tries. Yeah, I mean they are definitely a team that's being played on individual brilliance as opposed to any coaching.
Yeah.
I don't actually think they're receiving any.
So, who are you hoping to see from an Ospreys point of view out there, Zach? Who I don't think Tipperick's gonna get to make his last appearance, is he? I mean, not.
I don't think he's fit enough. I think he'll be there because he's acting defensive coach at the moment. He might get in for 20 minutes at the end of the Lions game just as a farewell. But even I'm not confident. It's a shame he's having to go off in the way, and he is after such a quite awesome career. I am expecting Harry Deeves to come back into the squad. I'm sort of starting because he came on against the Dragons and then put in a shift for 35 minutes that made him look like man of the match almost instantly. And I just think he loves it out there. He's all up for physicality and just taking the opportunity to smash even that step backwards was really rile him up and get him into it. I think Morgan Morse needs to sort of find his place now. Morgan Morris is out for the rest of the season, probably out for the Wales tour to Japan. So as a result, with Morgan Morse, it's his time to put his hand up and make a claim to that growth spot. It just seems like his time and doing it out in South Africa will just help his plaudits so much more. And maybe even the sneaker spot onto the Lions tour if we're really confident and really lucky.
Okay. So, Harley, who is first? Is it you or is it?
We are playing.
Yeah, you're the 3 o'clock kickoff, aren't you?
Yes.
Yeah.
We're
You're
3
the 3
o'clock
o'clock.
kickoff, then Dragons 5:15, and then
that's what it is.
the Scarlets game is listed as 2 o'clock on Sunday.
Now, correct me if I'm right on that. Is the Ospreys game a 6 o'clock kickoff? Because I saw that on the fixtures. Yeah,
6 o'clock kickoff on the Friday.
It'll be like 7 o'clock for their time.
Yeah.
So
that's right.
It's the same for the Cardiff Stormers game or Stormers Cardiff game the following Friday.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm tempted. I might have to either sneak off work or turn off all social media so I can watch it on a delay. Like I do not get back from work until gone 6, depending on traffic.
Hands up anybody that feels sorry for Harley. So
what you said the other day.
Okay, so Bulls this week then. So expectations of that game?
There's just so many good players on the Bulls. Like you go through all the names, they've just got an absolute monster of a pack. The one thing that I would say is Cardiff score tries, and we seem to be we're able to score something out of nothing. I think on the fast track up an eyeball, I think there's a chance we can get a point out of this game, but I do not expect it to be close. I think it's going to be quite a comfortable Bulls victory in the end. As I said in the preview, I'm just hoping we're not too hurt and we're almost keeping our powder dry for the Stormers game. So I could see a bit of rotation. I don't know how much rotation we can do really, as we only have 2 fit loose heads. So it's going to be Donchowski and Southworth playing because we've got no one else. I don't know if Falatau's going to go. I don't know if they're going to they think these are 2 games we need Falatau for, or if they think that Alan Lawrence and Mackenzie Martin can cover the role enough to get a couple of points in and keep him fresh for wherever the round of 16 is. As I said, there is a 50% chance it's going to be back down in South Africa anyway. But I can see him not going. Other than that, I think it would be a fairly fullish team of whoever is available. I don't think we're getting anyone back off long-term injury. Most people seem to be off. Last anyone saw of Mason Grady was, despite him being supposed to be back by now, he was back in a boot. So I think that's him out, potentially missing any sort of summer tour as well. But I mean, it could also just be precautionary.
Mm. Or he could just be like messing with people's heads and just going, ha 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 ha. You thought I wasn't here, you see. Could
Yeah,
be doing
I'm
one of
ready
them.
to go and take on David Creel.
Yeah. To be like a bit of Scrappy Doo. Let me at him, Uncle Scooby. Let me at him. Okay.
A very
So
big Scrappy Doo.
a very big Scrappy Doo, yes. Um, so the next game then is Stormers and Dragons. Um, so Stormers are in sixth and Dragons are in 16th. Ooh, I mean, the frustrating thing for the Dragons for me is that they show bits where they can actually play. Every now and again, they'll put like a sequence together, and you'll go, just do that for 80 minutes, boys. Just keep doing that, and you'll be fine. And they don't. Um, we've discussed countless number of times with Jamie, defense coach. Well, we'd stop discussing it now to stop Jamie from entering into some very long depressive state. But it's not great as a Dragons fan to be able to do stuff and then for whatever reason, whether it's coaching, whether it's players, whatever, um, it just doesn't work. I would genuinely love to see Dragons do something in South Africa. Do you know what I mean? I think it'd be, Zebra were a pile of pants at the start of the season, and that just they seem to kind of turn that around. They
Hang
were
on, you were saying how
underperforming.
they should have beaten Cardiff and how brilliant they were at the start of the
They
season.
were, but that's because I was talking to you. So
You
they
said that on the URC Rewind when I wasn't even on there. So
that is true. Yeah, that is true. But I
I
was
still
only
argue
kind
that's
of
talking to you.
yeah. I'm still going to say that I knew you were listening. So yeah, it can happen. I genuinely hope that they get something where they go, you know, here's some positives that we get out of it. I know it's hard for them at the minute, but I just hope they get something that they go, yeah, we've come out of this with a losing bonus point, or we stop them getting 3 tries or whatever. So, but yeah, I mean, it's hard to find the spin, to be honest, for Dragons against Stormers on that Saturday night. So let's move on to the Sunday then, which is a stupid time to play a game. So is it 2 o'clock on the Sunday, Harley?
yep,
Lions.
2 o'clock Sunday, which actually I quite like. I quite like that as a kickoff time. As to watch. I mean, it's not like any Scarlets fans are going.
Oh,
Well,
there are a
three of
few.
them might do.
There'll always be a few. There'll always be a couple of idiots up there. But yeah, 2 o'clock on a Sunday. I mean, of all of the four South African sides to play, Lions are in 13th. Yes, they've got a decent home record, but even that started to wobble lately, and they haven't looked as comfortable and reassured as they were. At one point at the start of the season, I think 4 or 5 games into the season, they were in second and third or something. So they when they were playing at home, they were playing really well, but they have dropped off a little, and they have shown that they're vulnerable. And Scarlets have just beaten Leinster, and shown that we can compete, which I think was what we were probably missing before: a bit of dog, a bit of fight, a bit of gnarliness up front. So I wouldn't say I'm quite confident, but I'd say I'm quietly confident that we'll come away with a win. And I think if we do, I think that we can not worry about the Sharks in that sense. It depends on other results, but yeah, I'd be quite comfortable. I think Benetton play Munster. No, Munster play Ulster, don't they? Which,
Yeah,
yeah,
Benetton are playing Glasgow,
yeah.
and
So
you've got
Bennett,
Connacht and Edinburgh. So that sort of bottom half of the table's near enough.
yeah.
Apart from Benetton and Glasgow, you basically got bun fight with all of them. One
Mm,
thing I would say for the Scarlets, and it applies to the Ospreys the following week, is I think we've worked at part of the reason why. So there's twofold reason why I think the Lions have dropped off. Partly is they have quite a little budget. All the best players are always being poached, so their depth is quite shallow. So it only takes a few injuries or a bit of fatigue. The other thing is, I think people now have worked out how to play against the Lions, and it's almost counterintuitive, but it's give them the ball because
and let them screw it up.
near enough, yeah. So Lions are absolutely deadly on turnover ball, so them pilfering your ball or loose kick receipt. But if you give them phase possession, they don't really have a good enough attacking structure to break it down. So if you're patient, you can stay fit enough. Whether you have your 6-2 bench or whatever, you have players who can do an 18 and quite happy running around. Your Lloyd would be brilliant because he'd have boundless energy. Whether or not he has the tactical nous for it is another story.
Mm.
But that's not what we signed him. We signed him because he covers the full back line in a 7-1. Is Jockey's plan, I'm convinced. But it's that's like Cardiff stumbled on it accidentally. Munster when they went out and beat them, that was actively it. Ospreys had a similar thing. Plus when they had the added benefit of having an unshakable scrum, which also again takes away a big superpower of the Lions, was that you had a way of earning penalties and getting up the field. I said so if you can keep the Lions pinned to their own 22, they will try and run it, and then you get away, and then you just eat your penalties, you take your counter attack possibility. So that is this is the reason why they are the easiest for. Is it's a very easy way to beat them, and the depth isn't quite as good as you like. They do have the absolute unit of a tight head, who apparently you have to be a South African scrum half to send backwards, because it's the only time I've seen him just go backwards this season was when Johan Mulder absolutely melted him, and it's that gif is still saved on my phone.
Well, that's where I'm kind of hoping Costello will come in and control the game a bit more. Where I do worry about Johan Royd for no other reason that when he plays in Northern Hemisphere, inside 10 minutes, he looks like he's just run the London Marathon. What he's going to be like in South Africa after 10 minutes. He's perfect. I'm not saying he's not fit. It just, when his cheeks go bright rosy red and his hair looks like he's just stepped out of the shower, soaking wet sort of a thing. And you just look at him and go, oh my God, the poor kid, he's been out, he's done a marathon before he's got on the pitch or something. He just looks, he has this appearance that he's just absolutely knackered all the time. So hopefully Costello will. I think that's the key bit for the Scarlets is can we get Costello on the pitch for 75.5 minutes, and then we'll be happy. Okay, right. Prediction time. So Zach, you get to screw up Nick's prediction table, which I'll be honest with you, is not difficult, mate, because he's at the bottom. And you can't get much worse than where he is. So Harley, you can do this. So you can do all the. You can fill. I did have a request, by the way. I had a request on YouTube after Judgment Day. I said, could we have a set of the rules for how the scoring works on the prediction league so that listeners could play along? And I kind of went, rules. Okay.
It's kind of hard with how we're set up, so I don't know. So basically, everyone gives their results, and then at the end, whether it's Sharks by 5, Ospreys by 12, whatever, and then if the result is Sharks get 3. If you guess Sharks by 5, you get 2 points, and you basically it's your difference. It's a bit like golf; it's your difference, but it's an absolute difference. You can't go under or apart, sort of thing. And then the person with the lowest difference from the actual score gets 4 points. Next one 3. Second, third place is 2, 1. If there's a tie, you both get. So if there's a tie for first, you both get 3 points. If there's a tie for second, you both get 2. You both get 1 sort of thing. It drops down. All right, and then whoever gets the most at the end wins. Then the tiebreaker is the total variance. That it's basically it's all on a spreadsheet. The spreadsheet does it all for me now. I don't have to think about it now. All I have to do is put plus or minus for whether it's a home or a away team victory, which apparently is still getting fully.
Yeah, still confuses me. Right, let's go with Jamie's first then. So I'll give you Jamie's predictions first, and then by the time it comes to me, I will have forgotten them. So Jamie has gone for Sharks by 9 against the Ospreys. Bulls Cardiff, he's gone Bulls by 15, 1-5. Dormers Dragons, he's gone Stormers by 40 or 0.
Yep.
Like I say,
You know,
there are times when I worry. And Lion Scarlets, he's gone Lions by 7 on that. So those are Jamie's predictions for this weekend's rugby.
So Zach, on behalf of Nick, what are your predictions for the 4 games? So first of all, you've got Sharks Ospreys, then Bulls Cardiff, Stormers Dragons, Lions Scarlets.
yeah, I'm going to discourage everyone who else is also an Osprey fan and go Sharks by 2.
Oh, you'll be popular.
That's a Lee prediction there.
I don't feel like we have it. I just feel like we'll run out of legs and give away a silly penalty. And the Sharks have made a habit of scoring penalties and last play to win it over the last sort of 3 games. Annoyingly. Bulls by 22. Stormers by 35. And then Lions by 16.
Also, just check in. So that's Sharks by 2, Bulls by 22, Stormers by 35, Lions by 16.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Make sure I sound crackled a bit on the ball score. Right, Lee, what are your predictions?
Okay, so I've gone Sharks by 8 on that one. Bulls by 16. I've gone Stormers by 30. And then just to kind of mix things up a little and
Scarlets by 1.
Scarlets by 1. What would be the point of me doing anything else at this point in the season? Stick with what you know. Stick with the good ones.
Well, funnily enough, I'm going to go Sharks by 10.
Okay.
Bulls by 18. I'm going to go Stormers by 42.
I see what you're doing
You know
here.
what? I've just got a feeling. I'm going to go Scarlets by 5.
Oh, Harley.
I've got a feeling.
Harley, have you just bought a house in
can't-
Pontcanna or something?
I do have shares in Pontcanna in housing.
Yeah. So I think Jamie's going to regret sending in his predictions early. You know, I think next week what we're going to have to do is send you in our predictions, like completely without, like not do it on air. We'll send you in our predictions, and then you can read them out, so that we don't like. I don't go, what did Jamie do? And I'll go one the either side, because that is how I've gone from bottom of the table to top of the table in the last 4 weeks, or the last 4 games. So, yeah.
You're assuming a lot of integrity on my part to not gain the system in an equal fashion.
Jamie's going to
And
listen to
also
this, and
the
he's
other
only.
rule for. So basically, the reason why Jamie sent it in is because someone forgot to send the predictions in once, and I said, right, that's 100 points to the home team. If you don't get it, which actually did for a couple of games this season, would actually put them quite well.
Would have been.
But yeah, if you miss, so if any presenter or their representative doesn't give predictions, I just put an arbitrary amount to force the spreadsheet into giving them the lowest number of points and the maximum variance.
You're a cruel person, Harley. Cruel person. Right.
I mean, the other thing I could have done is deducting points, but that seems mean.
See, when I was doing it, I just made stuff up. I just kind of went, right, you can do.
Are you doing that now, anyways?
I do, but I'm top of the table. Who knows? How does it work?
He's also now a Star Wars hologram.
Yeah, I think it's because the light has come through, like the sun has kind of just edged through the end of the window, and now I can see lots of like strange streaks going across the front of the screen because the sun is setting on the windows and it's summer and it's lovely. Right. On that note, gentlemen, I think we are done for the day. So, Zach, thank you very much for sitting in for Nick. Nick is going to come back with an amazing tan. We know that. We will rib him for it when he gets here. But thank you for sitting in tonight, my friend. Jamie, I hope you get better soon. We shall see you all next week. And the only thing left for me to say is enjoy your rugby. I shall see you next week, gents. Thanks very much.
That's that.
Right.